7 years ago, I had a near-death experience, and I wanted to share one of my biggest learnings from that with you. And so my name's Ash, by the way, and I went in for a back operation, and during the operation, the surgeons tore a vein. They didn't realize they'd tore a vein, and they stitched me up, sent me back to the ward. And during the night, I had a lot of pain. In the morning, the physio came to get me up, and I looked down at my leg, and it was quite swollen. It was at least double the size that it would normally be. And he said, "Oh, you'll be right, up you get." So I stood up, and then within seconds I collapsed, and I had no pulse, I wasn't breathing. The emergency team came in, and I was very aware that, this is quite serious, and I was still awake, and I was thinking, I'll be all right. And then I got to this point, and I realized I wasn't all right. And I heard them saying his blood pressure's on 52 on 36, and I thought, I'm dying. This is dying. And I remember looking around the room, and I saw the physio, who was only a young guy. He was about 23, 24 by the looks of him. And he was so pale and scared. And apologies, I'm going to say a little swear word. And I thought to myself, you poor bastard, you think you killed me. And then I started to black out. Except the curious thing was that instead of just blacking out, like fainting and you have nothing, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, what happened? I actually had conscious awareness throughout. And I was surprised by this. So I had enough conscious awareness to go, hang on a second, I blacked out and I can still think. And my experience was that I had become ripples, and I was heading out like ripples in all directions. It was infinite. I was infinite. And I just kept going and going and going. And I was thinking, wow, this is dying. And I'm still me. I had this sense of this essence of me, which was very curious, because I always thought that I would die and become some sort of enlightened Buddha being or something like that. But I was me. And so one of the lessons, which isn't the key lesson I'm getting to, was even when we die, we are still ourselves. And so that was my experience there, and continued to expand in these ripples. And I started to say, I want to stay. And I was going through all these people I want to stay for. So my partner at the time, children, we had a blended family, and I was saying I want to stay for them, my daughter. And I was still the ripples, and I thought, I'm still dying. And then this warmth came over me, and I said, I want to stay for the work that I do and walk the planet from my heart. And the instant I expressed that, came straight back into my body, opened my eyes, they had a pulse, I started breathing, and I was back to immense pain, ridiculous amounts of pain, I have to say. And previous to that, I had no pain. So I had conscious awareness and no pain, and then I came back in, opened my eyes, started breathing, and had immense pain. And I would question, did I really go through this experience? Was this true? Maybe I just fainted. And so many of the things I've shared with you, I've had to process. But the hardest thing for me, and of course, sometimes the hardest things lead to the most profound lessons. The hardest thing for me was that I was in a room dying and nobody I loved was there. It took me months to be able to say that without crying. I actually had to have therapy so I could process that I died alone in a room of strangers. So the lesson from that was, I want my life to be full of so much connection and love and passion and beauty. So for example, where I am right now, it's just stunning, right? I want my life to be full of that, because one day I'm going to die, and I could die alone. Well, actually one day I'm going to die again. It's a definite. And I could be alone, or I could be surrounded by loved ones, but in the meantime, I'm going to nourish myself with that love and that connection, and the love and connection to myself and to the planet, so that when I do die, I can be totally accepting and surrender to it. Go, even if I die alone, I can go, what a beautiful gift this has been. And this time I can die content rather than die with immense sadness. Would love to hear what you think in the comments. Please feel free to follow, like, or share, and by doing so you hack your algorithm, meaning that you might get more videos from me or people who talk about similar things. So sending my love, picturing you being happy and joyful and thriving wherever you are.